Have you ever wondered how people lived in a world without smartphones, instant streaming, or cloud storage? It seems almost impossible now, but just a few decades ago, everyday life was full of objects and experiences that today's younger generation might never recognize. So let's dive into another batch of forgotten treasures from the past that once shaped how we lived, worked, and entertained ourselves. Let's start with the typewriter. Picture this: the steady clack, clack, clack of keys hitting paper. The ding of the carriage return signaling it was time to start a new line. Before computers and word processors, the typewriter was a writer's best friend. It demanded precision. There was no backspace or delete key to erase mistakes, only the hope that you could fix your typo with some correction fluid or a carefully applied piece of correction tape. Each letter stamped onto the page had a tactile quality, and the sound of typing was unmistakable, filling a room with its rhythmic chatter. Today, most of us type on silent keyboards or touchscreens, but there was something raw and satisfying about the physical effort of typing on a mechanical machine, where every letter was a commitment. Next up, let's talk about film strip projectors in schools. Before PowerPoint presentations and smartboards, film strip projectors were the star of the classroom. The teacher would roll out the projector cart, dim the lights, and feed a strip of film into the machine. Each frame of the strip contained a single image, accompanied by a click or beep to signal the next frame. It was a slower, more deliberate way to teach, but it also created anticipation as students waited for the next image to come into view. Often, a separate cassette tape played the narration or instructions that went with the images. Film strips were a visual storytelling tool, helping teachers bring history lessons, science experiments, and art appreciation to life in a way that textbooks couldn't. The experience of learning this way felt almost ceremonial, with the room darkened and everyone focused on the glowing screen at the front of the class. And then there's the slide projector. Remember those family gatherings where someone would pull out the projector and showcase vacation slides? The room would darken. The faint whir of the machine would start, and you'd watch as one image after another clicked into place on the wall. It wasn't just about the photos. It was a shared experience, a way for families to relive memories together. The sound of the carousel advancing to the next slide is something that sticks with you, as is the occasional upside-down or backward slide that would send everyone into a fit of laughter. Today's digital photo albums and online galleries are convenient, sure, but there was something special about gathering around to watch those slides click through in the glow of the projector's light. Speaking of light, let's talk about something that lit up the night in a totally different way: the lava lamp. No 1970s or 80s living room was complete without one of these mesmerizing wax-filled lamps. You'd flip the switch, and over the next few minutes, watch as globs of wax slowly heated up and began their hypnotic dance inside the glass tube. There was no practical purpose for a lava lamp other than pure visual enjoyment. But that's what made it so iconic. It was all about the experience. It captured the laid-back, groovy vibe of an era that valued relaxation and atmosphere. In today's age of sleek, minimalistic lighting, the lava lamp feels like a symbol of a time when people weren't in such a hurry. And just watching those wax blobs float was an event in itself. Do you remember the joys of VHS tapes and VCRs? Long before streaming, even before DVDs, VHS tapes were the main way to watch movies at home. You'd head to the local video rental store, browse through rows of plastic clamshell cases, and rent a couple of tapes for the weekend. But using a VCR wasn't exactly seamless. You had to rewind tapes after watching, otherwise the next time you popped it in, you'd start at the end. And heaven forbid if the tape got jammed or tangled inside the VCR. There was always a moment of panic as you tried to gently pull the tape out without damaging it. Then there was the eternal battle with tracking, trying to get the picture clear by adjusting the little dial to remove those annoying static lines. Watching movies may be easier today, but there was something kind of magical about inserting that bulky VHS tape, hearing the soft mechanical sounds as the machine grabbed the tape, and then sitting back to enjoy a movie you had to physically pick out. And if you wanted to listen to music on the go, you had to have a Walkman. This portable cassette player revolutionized personal music. Before MP3s, smartphones, and Spotify playlists, the Walkman was your gateway to private music enjoyment. You'd pop in a cassette, slide on the foam-covered headphones, and suddenly you were in your own little world. Whether it was a mixtape you'd made yourself or your favorite album from the record store, the Walkman allowed music to travel with you. Of course, carrying a few extra AA batteries and a backup tape or two was essential. And just like with VHS tapes, sometimes your cassette would get jammed or the tape would get tangled, requiring you to carefully rewind it with a pencil. But even with these small hassles, the Walkman was revolutionary. Today's digital music players and streaming apps owe a lot to this compact, clunky little device that brought the joy of music to wherever you were. Another lost experience that many kids today would never recognize is the Encyclopedia set. Before Google, before Wikipedia, there were these massive volumes of books that contained knowledge about everything from science to history, geography to culture. Many households had a set of encyclopedias proudly displayed on a bookshelf, often passed down from one generation to the next. Researching for a school project meant flipping through pages and carefully cross-referencing different volumes. It was an act of discovery in itself, physically turning the pages and seeing illustrations, charts, and photos that made learning a more hands-on experience. Encyclopedias represented a time when information wasn't instant or infinite. It was finite, bound in heavy books that symbolized knowledge and curiosity. In a way, those books forced you to slow down and really absorb the information, something that can easily get lost in today's hyper-connected world. And let's not forget about pagers. These small, square devices might seem laughable today, but there was a time when they were essential for anyone needing to stay in touch while on the go. Doctors, business people, and even teenagers all carried pagers clipped to their belts. When someone needed to reach you, they'd send a message to your pager, usually just a number or a code, indicating you should call them back. You'd then find the nearest payphone to return the call. The simplicity of a pager feels light years away from the constant notifications and messages we get on smartphones today. But back then, it was a lifeline, keeping you connected without all the distractions of a full-fledged mobile phone. In many ways, it was a precursor to our always-on, always-connected world, just without all the bells and whistles. And lastly, for all the photographers out there, darkrooms were once a crucial part of the photographic process. Before digital photography took over, if you wanted to develop your own film, you needed access to a darkroom. It was a space lit only by red or amber lights where you'd work with photographic chemicals to bring your images to life. The process was almost alchemical, immersing film in developer, watching the image slowly appear and then fixing it so it wouldn't fade. There was a delicate art to timing and technique, and the smell of the chemicals was unforgettable. Spending hours in a dark room was meditative and focused, a quiet place where you could fine-tune your photos, print after print. It's a far cry from today's instant filters and editing apps, but it was a deeply personal and creative process. It wasn't just about capturing the moment. It was about crafting the final image with your own hands. As time moves forward, technology marches on, leaving behind these fascinating artifacts of daily life. But each of these objects, from the Walkman to the typewriter, holds a story about how we once lived and interacted with the world around us. They remind us that while technology may simplify our lives, there's something irreplaceable about the tactile, deliberate, and sometimes quirky experiences of the past. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.